Hello and welcome. I'm Raghav and I'm going to start this very basic course on Python. So if you are a complete beginner, if you want to start Python from scratch and you do not know anything about Python, do not worry. I will start from basics and we will go up step by step. So you can follow me along with hands-on, and this is going to be very easy and very interesting. You can, after this course, you can use Python for your projects for development, or you can also use Python for automation testing projects. So here for learning Python, we need some editor where we will write the Python code and run it. So for that, I will go to Replit, so we can get it from on our browsers itself. If you are using any IDE like PyCharm, IntelliJ, Eclipse, etc., you can use that as well. But here I'm just going to do it very easily, so very quickly without having to set up any IDE or any extra things. So we are going to use Replit. So you can go to replit.com, and here uh, if you can sign up or log in, and let me show you. If I go to on the home page itself, you will see this start creating, or you can sign up. I will click here, and then you can create an account using your Google account or just continue with your email. So you can then log in. So I have an account. I will log into my account, and let me log in first. Okay, I have logged in, and the email ID I have used is a test email ID. So I do not see that email ID, so do not send me mails there. And here we have got this dashboard for Replit. Now here you can see this button, create REPL. So if you click here, you can select the programming language you want. So we are going to select Python here, and then you can give any name. So I will give it a name, learning Python, and click on create REPL. So this will create the folder, and now we have got this editor where we can write our Python code, and we will see the output here. For example, if I say print and I say hello world, so print, and in brackets within quotes I have written hello world, and then I will click on this run button. So as I click on the run button here, you can see the output is coming here, and you can also close the sidebar from here. So you can see this, close the sidebar so that you can see the editor here and the console output here. We also have the shell. So if you want to run a Python file, so you can see this is a Python file, a Python script which has the extension .py. You can create more Python scripts here. I will just continue with this, and if you want to run it from terminal, you can just say Python. So I have clicked on this shell, then I am saying Python and the name of the file, which is main.py, and you can see it runs and gives whatever output we have there, or whatever code we have written, the output is shown here. I will go back to the console. Now I will again open the sidebar and show you some settings. So if you scroll down, you can see some tools here, and if you scroll, you can see the settings here. So if you go to the settings, click on the settings, it will open the settings here, and here you can see all the settings. If you want the font size large, normal, small, whatever you want, you can do it here. Then you can see all these wrapping, and then we have this theme. If you want to use a light theme or a dark theme, you can use it here, keyboard shortcuts, etc. Everything is here. Okay, so this is where you can see the settings and edit it. Console. Let us first start with the print statement itself. So I will also say, I will write a heading print, and I am pressing control and / on my keyboard. If you are on Mac, you can press command for the starting. That means this is a comment, and it will not be considered while you run your code. So this is like if you want to add some meaningful messages or information, you can use comments like this. So for printing, we use the statement print followed by the brackets like this. Okay, and you can also see as you hover over here, you can get some auto suggestions as well. So this is how we use print, and then within the print statement brackets we can give the data that we want to print. So let me run it again and you will see that output. Now you can see the first line is empty because here we are not printing anything. It is empty, so it is just adding a blank line here, and then it is printing hello world here. Now I can say, suppose I use a variable a and give it a value, let us say 7, and then I say print, and in the brackets I say a, and I run. So here you can see it is giving this output, it is printing 7 here. Or if I say a equals 7, b equals, let's say 10, and now I can also print both a and b in the same print statement by giving a comma. I will say print a comma b, and I will run it, and here you can see it is printing 7 and 10 here. Okay, so please do hands-on along with me so that you can also understand this. Then I can also create a variable called, let us say name, and give it a string value. To give a string value we can use quotes, we can use single quotes, double quotes, triple quotes as well in string. I will tell you about this in detail later when we learn about strings. So I am saying name equals, let us say Raghav, and now if I have to print this I will say print, and I will give the variable name, that is name, and then if I run this you can see it is printing here Raghav, that is the value of the name variable. And I can also say print, and I want to print something, I will say name and colon, and then I will say comma and give the variable name, that is name. And if I use now, I can also save by pressing Ctrl S or Command S, so that will also format the code. If I run it now, you can see it is saying name, and then it is printing the value of the name variable. So this is how you can also add data in the print command or the print statement. Okay, and then you can also see whenever we are running the print statement, it is printing everything in a new line. You can see it printed hello world, and then we did not add any character for getting into a new line. However, it is still printing every print statement in a new line. That is because the print statement always moves the cursor to a new line, and if you explicitly want to do that, you can also say, let us say I will say print, and I will say first line, and I want to explicitly move to the next line. I can say \n, and I can use it multiple times, so this will move down 2 lines, and then I'm again printing, let us say this is second line. Okay, I will run this, and you can see first line, and then it goes 2 line down and then prints second line. So we can also use the \n to go to the next line. Okay, then for comments I have already shown you. You can just press Ctrl/ or Command/ on your keyboard, and the line will be commented. And wherever you want to use any extra information that you do not want the to be added in the code, or you do not want it to be run by the compiler, you can comment. And it is good practice to add comments in your code so that it is easier to read and to know what you are doing. So we use a hash symbol. Okay, if you manually add a hash symbol, it will anyways comment. So we use hash symbol for commenting. Okay, Then we also have input statement. If you want to get any input from user, we use the input statement. So let's say I will use a variable, let's say name, and say equals. Also you can see I have already used a variable name, so we can use that in Python. The same variable multiple times, it will change the value. So if I add a new value here, a new data here, that will override the earlier data for the variable name. So I'm saying name equals, and I'm using the function input, and then I'm saying enter name, and then I want to print whatever is entered or whatever is stored in this variable name. So I will say print name. Okay, I will save and run, and you can see it says it is asking for a user input. It is saying enter name. I will write a name and hit enter, and it is printing the name here. Okay, and whenever we give any input, it is stored as a string. Even if we give a number, it is stored as a string. And just to find out what is the data type of this value, you can say type of this data which is entered, which is stored in the name variable. So let's say if I run it again, this time I'm going to give some number, let us say 77, and if I hit enter, you can still see it is of type string. So the data type that it has printed is of type string. Okay, this input function always stores in type string. Okay, so now we have done the print statement, we know how to add comments, we have done the input statement. Then let us come to variables, and I am pressing Ctrl// to comment. So now variables are used to store data or values. For example, I can say a equals 10. So here a is a variable which is storing the value 10. I can say b equals 1.1. b is again a variable which is storing a value 1.1. Now 10 is an integer value, 1.1 is a float value, and here in Python we do not have to explicitly mention the type of value we are storing. We can directly store the value and it will take care of the types. Okay, also if I say a equals 7 here, so it will change the value for a. So here we had given a equals 10, and here we have changed the value of a to 7, so we can do that as well. Okay, and for naming convention, the name of variables, we can use all uppercase or lowercase alphabets. We can also use numbers. However, the starting digit, it cannot start with a number or a digit, but otherwise we can use numbers in the name of the variables. We can also use underscore. So for example, if you have something like first name, you can use a variable name something like this. You can say first underscore name. Okay, and variable names cannot start with any reserved keywords. There are some reserved keywords like if, else, try, catch, and these kind of reserved keywords. You cannot use these as variable names. Okay, so this is very simple. We will be using variables in our code. Then we have literals. Okay, so literals are just the values that are stored in the variable. For example, here 10 is a literal, 1.1 is a literal, 7 is a literal, Raghav is a literal. So these are the values which are stored in the variables, and literals can be of type numeric, string, or boolean. So it can be numeric literals, string literals or boolean literals. Okay, when we talk about numeric, it can be positive, 0 or negative numbers. When we talk about string, it can be something like a word, sentence, or it can also be a character. Okay, so I can say something like as I can say name equals Python, then I can say char equals p. Okay, so we can use that like this. And when we talk about boolean literals, we give the value true or false. Now here you have to make sure that this is case sensitive. If you give a t with a lower case, this is not a boolean literal, and even if you say capital T but add quotes, this will become a string, not a boolean literal. So it is true with T capital, false with F in uppercase. These are the boolean literals. Okay, uh, let us talk about strings. Now here we have already seen we can just give a variable name and then give a string like this. We can also say give a string with single quotes. Generally when we have a single letter, we can give it away with a single quotes. Then if we have multi-line string, so let us say I am giving a variable name multi-line string, and here we can use triple quotes, triple single quotes or triple double quotes. So I am giving triple quotes here, and now I can give a multi-line string here. So let us say I say name Raghav and then subject Python and then job teacher. So this is a multi-line string within triple quotes. If I want to print it, I will say print multi-line string, and if I save and run, okay, so I have to give some input, that's fine. So now you can see it is printing this multi-line string as well. Okay, then other thing that you should know in Python is the basics is type conversion. I am pressing Ctrl// to comment this heading. So now here we have implicit type conversion and explicit type conversion in Python. Okay, now here let's say I give a variable called any variable name I will give like num int, and I give a literal or value as 5. Now 5 is an integer, and by default the data type of this variable will become as integer. Just in case you want to check, you can print the data type by using the print statement and using the type function. So I will say type, and then in the bracket I will say num int. So basically I am trying to print the data type for num int or data type of the value which is stored in the variable num int. So let me save this. Also I will just comment out the input statements, otherwise it will keep on asking me for the input. So I'm just going to comment this out. I'm selecting everything and pressing Ctrl// so that it does not always asks me for the input. So I will run this and check. You can see the type is integer. So we have not given explicitly the type, but it has taken it as integer. Similarly, if I say num and I'm saying float, now these names I'm giving is just for easy understanding. You can give any name to the variables, but it's always good to give some meaningful names. And here if I say 5.5, this is a float value. Okay, now if I say sum equals to num int plus num float, so I'm adding these two values 5 and 5.5, and then if I say print sum, let us see. I am saving and running. So here it is giving me the answer 10.5, which is fine. 5 plus 5.5 should be 10.5, but what is the data type of this variable sum? So let me do that. I will say print type of sum, and I will run this, and you can see the type of sum is float. So because after the addition the number that comes is a float value, so therefore it has taken the type for sum as float. Okay, and then if you want, you can also do, all this is implicit type conversion, that is Python is doing it itself without we explicitly mentioning or doing the type conversion. But if you want, we can also do explicit type conversion. Now in explicit type conversion, we use predefined functions like int or float or str to convert one data type to another. So let us see some examples. So this is explicit type conversion. So let's say I will say a equals 77. So this is a string. Okay, and then I give another variable int num equals, and here I am explicitly converting. I am using int function and I am giving the variable a here, which is this one. So I am explicitly converting this string to an integer. So when I print int num, and also I will print the type of int num, so you can see this is what I am doing. I have given a variable a and stored a string value. So as of now this a is a string, it has a data type string. Then I am explicitly converting a to an integer and I am printing its value and also its type. So if I now run, you can see here it prints 77 here, and then the type is integer or int. Okay, similarly if I want to again convert, explicitly do type conversion to a float, I will say I can use any variable name, let's say int float, sorry, it should be float. I can say float. You can use any name, just you can keep some meaningful names for easy understanding. I am saying float and in brackets a. So this is explicit type conversion, and then I will just print float num and also print the type of float num, the data type. Okay, let us now run it, and you can now see it is printing 77.0 because it has now converted that string to a float number or a decimal number, and the type is also now float. Okay, so this is how we can do explicit type conversion. Okay, so this is good to get started with Python. Do some hands-on, and in the coming session we will learn about operators, if-else, loops, functions, data types, and then exception handling. We will also do some object-oriented programming. So this is going to be very easy, very interesting, and after these sessions you can work on any Python project, whether it is development or testing or automation. You will be comfortable with Python. I hope this was useful. If you have any questions, you can let me know. I will see you soon. Thank you for watching, and never stop learning.